Hey, welcome back to our Life Group Leaders Lounge, where we are here to equip and inspire you to be the best Christ-centered leader that you can be. My name is Brooks. I'm happy you're here with us. I'm joined, as usual, with my awesome co-hosts, Raquel and Braden. And we're back again with our special guest, Anne Richardson. Anne, thanks for being back with us again today.
Thank you for having me again.
We are stoked. Can you tell us, before we get into our topic of the day, I just thought about it. We didn't talk about it last week. Can you tell us about the group, the life group that you lead that happens here in San Diego on Monday nights?
Mm-hmm. I lead a group called Not Alone. It's for women who've had trauma, particularly any kind of sexual abuse. And it's a spiritual recovery process. So most of these women have had therapy, but they're looking for deeper healing from God. And so we go through various spiritual practices that allow God's deeper healing.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to Anne's website, which we'll put in the link in the description below. And also you can check out her group at newbreak.church/groups if you're interested in learning more. So Anne, we're excited you're here. Our last podcast, we talked about, as a leader, it's so vital that you are growing and connecting with God and going deeper in your relationship with the Lord before you can even take other people deeper in growing the relationship with the Lord. So this week we want to talk about, how do you as a leader, wherever you're at, whether you're at Newbreak or another church, how can you help your group connect with God on a deeper level? So we get, we sit with our group for maybe hour and a half a week. Maybe you're staying in connection with them during the week at different times, but that seems like a big task. But I think that's a really important responsibility as a leader. So what would you say are, where do we start with that, Anne?
Well, I like to use the analogy of a pool. Some people in your group might be sitting on the steps. They're kind of a little afraid to get in. And some people are in the shallow end. They're having a great time doing the shallow water aerobics, but they might be a little hesitant to go into the deep end. And then you have a few people who are in the deep end, either doing diving off the board or deep water aerobics or whatever they're doing. And so, as the leader, you want to encourage them wherever they're at. So like for some people, you think of our relationship with God, it's like receiving His love for us and being grounded as the beloved. And also we give back to Him because Jesus says to love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul and body. And so, again, it's back to, being reflective. If you're in the shallow end, why am I afraid to go in the deep end? Or what's holding me back from going a little deeper? And that's being reflective. Or what's holding me back from loving God in my mind or my whole heart or my body?
So it sounds like you're saying, like, one of the things that we want to be doing is like encouraging people in our group to be reflective, right? And I think that's why it's so important. We talked first last week about, and if you didn't listen to the podcast last week, make sure you go back and listen because Anne was sharing some awesome wisdom, is that it's so vital for us as individuals, as leaders, to be kind of modeling that ourselves. I would say experiencing that ourselves is more important, I think. You can't model if you're not experiencing it. So first and foremost, we as leaders need to be experiencing that and modeling reflection in our relationship with God, but then to help other people learn and practice reflection seems like it's a really important piece of helping other people grow. Would you say that's true then?
Yes. Yeah, and a simple practice that you can do as a leader, you can do with your group, you can do it in the beginning of group time. Takes 10-15 minutes is the prayer of examine.
And you talked a little bit about that last week. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
You start off offering gratitude to God for the gifts of the day, either today or yesterday, just those gifts, both big and small. Thank Him for everything. And then to say, where did I feel God's presence for me yesterday? And then to say, what was I feeling yesterday in my heart? and just to be real and authentic, even if it's struggling or negative, or so maybe something was painful or hurtful, and then ask God, ask yourself, ask God, what was that about? Why is this bothering me? Why am I struggling?
And we can do that in a group setting, even,
Yes.
you're saying. So even maybe cutting out, instead of having an icebreaker in a certain week, maybe you provide space for that,
Right.
to be able to ask people those questions, or even to break people up in pairs and have them practice that with one another.
Right.
So it sounds like that takes a lot of vulnerability within a group
does.
to be willing to do that.
It does. It needs to be a safe group, or you just encourage people to share what's ever comfortable,
Okay,
but
that's
to
good.
share those more deeper places with God, with their time with God. And then ask God to help you with that. So tomorrow, you can do better tomorrow.
I had a question. You were talking about, I like that illustration of the pool, that like some people are in the shallow end, and when it comes to connecting with God, maybe they're new to the faith, or for whatever reason, they haven't been able to find the right path to go deeper. And then there are those that maybe have been Christians for a longer period of time, or maybe I don't know why, maybe they just have found an easier way to go deeper in the relationship with God. How would you say, as a leader, you're able to discern where people are at? Like, what would you say is like, all of your experience doing this, like how can our leaders develop or be able to discern where each person is at?
Good question.
It is a good question, and that's going to take time.
Okay.
That takes time.
Okay.
It just takes time getting to know someone, seeing how they respond.
Like if some people are more closed off or more open,
Right.
so that kind of shows maybe where they're at a little bit.
So
Okay.
I guess what are the steps, or what's a way to get people into being more reflective in a group setting when you don't know where everyone's at yet? So instead of waiting to know where they're at, do you recommend you can still introduce this to your group? But how so if you're still trying to discern where everyone is in the pool, if you will?
Yeah, I would say, start with something very welcoming.
Okay.
I mean, if people are on the steps, they need to know that the pool is safe, it's clean, they're not going to
good.
drown.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I need to know God loves me
Yeah.
if I'm going to open up. So you can start with the simple, I go back to the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Where did you feel joy yesterday? Most people can tell you that. Or where did you feel peace yesterday? Or love? Or who showed you kindness yesterday? Or who did you show kindness to? And then when you want to want to encourage them is to say, okay, now what blocked your joy?
Yeah.
Where were you not kind? What was that about? You
Yeah.
have to
And
kind
is the goal to get people to also, since it's a group setting, of course, with the level of comfort that they have, to share more of that with the group, or is it for it to be in the privacy of their heart?
Well, I encourage people to do this practice alone with God, and to hold nothing back from him.
Yes.
To be completely open. And then in group, I usually say, share what's ever comfortable.
Got it.
And give them
That's good.
permission, because that
That's good.
takes time.
That's good.
When you've been with a group a long time and you're very close, you can open up more. But if it's a new group, it takes time.
Yeah, that's good. I like how you said, like, make sure you're leading by asking permission, that seems really important. And something you said, I want to just ask a question about that. You were mentioning, like, hey, let's say you have a lot of people that are, maybe have had bad experiences in life, or they've experienced a lot of pain, or even the thought of God still seems, they're still kind of learning how to do that dance with the Lord, I guess, maybe put it that way. What if one of our leaders asks a question or is leading in a scripture and someone has a really negative response? Maybe someone is like, you can tell there's maybe a lot of pain or hurt behind something as you're discerning. How can you, as a leader, be able to kind of work through that with someone? Let's say you touch a nerve by something and you sense from the Lord that God is doing something there. How can our leaders kind of help somebody through whatever it is that is blocking them?
Well, what I would do, I would probably try to call that person outside of group
Okay.
and come at a place to say, I noticed something, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? Would you like to talk about it? And then see what they say.
Okay. So, and if someone's response is like, I guess they could respond, yeah, they may open up to you, and other times maybe they're not even ready yet. If someone, if you give that invitation and someone still closes you down, what would you say is something good, just something loving or kind that they could even respond back to in that circumstance?
Well, if, like, say, for example, we're talking about the fruit of the Spirit, and I would probably say, and I say this to people, it's okay to have both joy and sadness. That's okay to feel both those feelings at the same place. And if you're in pain or you've been wounded by life, Jesus gets that because he was wounded too. And he gets that. And he agonized in the garden. And you can sit there. You can bring this to him too. Maybe you don't feel like talking about joy. Maybe you want to talk about your pain with him during your reflective time, and that's okay too. So you give permission to feel those feelings.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Any other questions, thoughts on this topic? I feel like it's such a big topic.
So good, yeah.
It's such a big topic. And so, in our podcast here, maybe 15 minutes long, our desire isn't necessarily to answer every question. I guess having Anne, having you on here with us, just with your heart for helping people go deeper. It's maybe for some, it's just beginning the conversation.
Yeah.
For others, if our leaders are thinking about their group, maybe this idea seems intimidating to them. Maybe they feel more comfortable with just getting their group serving or just getting their group kind of developing authentic relationships. But that idea of helping people grow deeper seems so heavy, So maybe just to end our podcast, could you maybe speak to that for our leaders that feel like, maybe I'm not equipped to take people deeper. Like, I'm still growing deeper. How do I do this? Like, what would be an encouragement to them so they maybe could walk away thinking, maybe I can start this. Maybe I can be that kind of a leader.
I would say you can be that kind of a leader. Back to what we talked about earlier, start spending some time with God every day. Carve out what you can, at least 10, 15 minutes, and to do some reflection. Even start simple, like, where did I feel God's love for me? And how did I share my love with God? So you can be that. You can do that.
Awesome.
And there's resources, and I've got some practices to give you if you want to give them to your leaders.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, again, Anne, thank you so much for being on here with us. I feel like I just feel encouraged, and I feel like I've got a lot to think about and reflect on personally. But we are honored that you're here. Thank you for joining us. And hey, you guys, again, thanks for tuning into our podcast. If you want to follow us, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you may find, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and you'll get notices every time we put something out. So again, God bless you, and thanks for being here.